Women doctors, we hear you. We know your struggles. We know what it's like to be a female doctor in this dominant world. And guess what? Dr. Summer Casmel and myself teamed up together and created Women Dentists Connect. We wanted to create a safe, educational, and inspirational place to come and ask those crazy questions that you don't want to ask. We know that being a female doctor is different than it is for male doctors. You just have different issues, different questions, different concerns. So Dr. Summer Casmel and I are actually hosting a live event in beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona on October 11th and 12th. This is for women doctors and their teams. We're talking business. We're talking issues that female doctors face. We're talking team breakouts, how to really rally your team. And we're giving you hundreds of tangibles that you can take home and implement Monday morning. We're also having an amazing lineup of speakers where you'll actually get CE for attending. So come on in. We can't wait to see you. We only have a handful of people that we're allowing in. So run on over to womendentistsconnect.com. Use the coupon code podcast to get the Dental 18 family coupon. Guys, I cannot wait. I would love to see you there. I'd love to connect with you, learn from you, and share. So hop on over Women Dentists Connect. I can't wait to see you in October. Hey everyone, welcome to the Dental 18 podcast. We're your hosts, Kira Dent
and Dr. Mark Costas.
Mark and I had this crazy idea that maybe we could combine a dentist and a team member's perspective because let's face it, dentistry can be a challenging profession with those two perspectives. And Dental 18 podcast was created.
I'm a practicing dentist, a multiple practice owner, a dental performance coach, and the founder of the Dental Success Institute.
I've been a dental assistant, treatment coordinator, scheduler, biller, office manager, current practice owner, and international dental consultant. Mark and I don't just understand you, we are you.
Our goal is to positively impact the world of dentistry by sharing our lessons learned from the road in hundreds of dental offices.
Two perspectives, one mission, to help dental professionals reach their full potential. Welcome to the Dental 18 podcast. Hello, Dental 18 listeners. This is Kira Dent. And you guys, we have been upping our A game over here because obviously it's the A team. And Ashley Keith came to me. You guys know, I'm going to give you a quick bio on her. Ashley Keith is that rockstar office manager. She works in Kansas City, Missouri. She has a 20-op practice, 4 doctors, 10 hygienists. Her husband's the dentist. They've been in practice ownership for about 2 years, and she took over as the office manager with no dental experience about a year ago. And so she came to me and she said, Kira, I have this great idea. Why don't we case study my practice on the podcast? And I flipped. I was so excited. I thought it was the best idea because the reality is when I consult across the nation, our team consults, we see these all the time. And on the podcast, you guys are getting snippets and nuggets of my real life, of the things that I see. But I loved Ashley's idea of, hey, let's go through her practice. Let's figure out where she is today and let's really do a case study and then watch things that we implement. And then she comes back on the podcast and we talk about it. So you guys really can start to see yourself in her story and be able to grow with her. So Ashley, that's kind of my intro on this. I'm so excited you're here. Add your 2 cents to this because it's going to be an epic journey we're going to go on.
Yeah, we're really excited. Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. You're going to be a regular. This is going to be case study regular.
Exactly. No, I just was thinking, you know what? Like we have the same challenges as everyone else. And I think sometimes if you hear other people's stories about where they start from, then it's always a little bit easier. You feel like you're not in the trenches by yourself.
Totally. And you're speaking from experience because you came to this world with no dental experience. And so it's like, well, hey, if we can be here, let's share best ideas and really go through the whole process together. Because I mean, things that we were talking about, you were just training your front office and realized one of the gals doesn't even know Care Credit. Like, oh my gosh, you've been there for a year. How does somebody not know Care Credit? But you guys, this is real life. I see this all the time. No wonder they can't do case acceptance because they don't even know the tools that they have and they've been there for 75 years. Like these are real life examples that I'm excited to go through. So brilliant idea, Ashley. I'm ready to go on this journey with you.
All right. Me too. It's going to be great.
It's going to be great. So, Ashley, let's go back to where did you start? Like, let's go back in time maybe. And so that way it's not where you are today, unless you want to start with where you're today. I'm going to let you kind of navigate of what you think would be the most impactful and beneficial based on the story that you're living in as well.
Yeah. So I think what we should do So before I even came on board with the dental office, we were in our 13 operatory practice. We had 3 front desk, I call them the front desk ladies. And the way that the building was structured, and I feel like this is very traditional, very common, you would come in at the front door of our office and there was a counter where one of our ladies sat, and then there's another door. You would like wait in the reception area, and then the hygienist would come and open the door for, to get patients. So it was very like segregated and just closed off. So you really couldn't get into our office without, passing the front desk person and walking through a door.
Yeah. That's very common. That's what the bulk of practices look like.
Totally. And then as far as the work that they were completing, there was not a ton of assigning out different tasks. I called it playing whack-a-mole. So they would just try to...
Such a good visual. I can totally see where you're going with this. I love it.
They just, their work habit, or the way that their workflow is they would just jump on whatever fire was burning at that particular moment. So like the phone would ring, they would answer it. Somebody would come in and check them in. If insurance needed verified, and they would just rotate through who was doing what job at what time just to accomplish the tasks as quickly as possible.
Okay, I want to stop right here because this is 90% of the dental offices that I see. We walk in the front office, they're all helping each other. They're all working together per se, but the reality is they're all crossing over each other and it's super disjointed. It's very inefficient. It's very hard to manage, and it's a very reactive approach as opposed to a proactive approach. It's just whatever's coming at you is what you're taking on. There's no real structure. So thank you for painting that picture. All of you stop, look at your practice right now. Is this your practice? I don't care what position you're in. Is this your practice? Is your front office playing whack-a-mole? Are they all kind of, or are they separated out? Tasks, duties, people know their lane that they should be in, because I will tell you, even in really good offices, there's still a lot of overlapping that's just very inefficient.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Totally.
So you had whack-a-mole going on. Go on.
Yeah.
Where else were you?
So we have, So we kind of know the layout. We had whack-a-mole, and then so we put me in there, and I'm like, what is everybody doing? Well, they did have processes, and they knew what each person was responsible for, but it wasn't written down anywhere. It wasn't, there was no kind of step-by-step of how I complete my work. So so as a third party person coming in, looking at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this looks like a big old tangled up ball of, string instead of like straight and narrow. I know how everything is being completed.
That's a good visual. So, I'm a visual person, and I just saw exactly what you're talking about. Like that ball of twisted up yarn, like what is going on, as opposed to straight lines. Thanks for that visual. That's really good.
Yeah. So we took that. So then, fast forward to April 2019, we moved spaces. So
this is no small feat. I have moved spaces. No. It is a project. It's huge.
Definitely. And so what I learned from this was, if you're going to go through a move, make sure your processes, and you at least make sure people know what they're supposed to be working on, because when you move your physical space, it's all going to get turned on its head anyways. But at least get the job descriptions down so people know what they're supposed to be working on individually.
Sure. And why did you feel that was so important? Like, what did that create for you? Because some people would say like, well, if it's going to all get turned upside down anyway, why invest the time right now to do it?
Yeah. So when we moved, we started missing things because we weren't sure. We didn't know where. First of all, we didn't know where anything was because it was all new. And then secondly, it's a new patient flow. So literally patients walk through our office in a different way. And then we didn't know who was responsible for what. So things were going, tasks and items that we'd never been missing before, we started missing.
And I think this could even be tied into, so maybe your practice isn't moving. Maybe you can't connect to that, but you all are hiring new people that are constantly coming in. And so it's the same, I think it's the same theory and idea of if you move locations, things get dropped. If a new person's hired or somebody leaves, things get dropped. It's whenever we have those moments of change, even with people that are still there, because things will constantly be changing. New ideas, doctors listening to a podcast or they go to a CE, they come back with a new idea that we want to implement and execute. And if you don't have those processes in place, no matter what phase of this journey you're in, things will get dropped and displaced, and that disrupts the patient flow, the patient experience, and the overall practice flow and experience as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so think about that ball of string and you add somebody new to it. Where do they go? You know, like just visually, how does that fit in? It like they get wrapped up in the tangle too. And there's just no, you know, you got to start separating that out. That's what we learned. But so now we have a new space. The elevator opens right into our office. So it's, you know, people are kind of like, whoa, where am I? And so we had to come up with a whole new flow around, you know, how do we greet the patient? How are we checking them in? How are we making sure forms are getting completed? Where do they go once, you know, they're done at the desk? So that whole piece was just like a net new. You know, I would think of it too for other offices who maybe aren't moving, but it's like as you start designing your intention for your patient experience, that is where you're going to start to see specifically your admin tasks be able to shimmy and shake out amongst your people, because you're going to start thinking about it around the patient.
Yeah, I really, really like that, because I was thinking, okay, how do we apply this to every practice? Because I ultimately want people to see this story that we're building with Ashley, and I want you to see it as a painting for your practice. And what strokes are you able to paint yourself into this story? Because that's the only way that this story will become applicable to you. So as you were saying this, I thought, okay, well, if I wasn't moving, Mark Costas and I just did a really cool exercise at our event for Business Mastery, where we did the operations manual. And Ashley, you were at that event, and it was like the handoff. So what are the patient touch points? And just write every single one of them down, because that will help you see the processes of where they are. So patient calls in on the phone, that's a touch point. The insurance verification, that's a touch point. When the patient enters your office, that's a touch point. What happens at this point? When they go back to the back, that's a touch point. When they are transferred from hygienist to assistant, or assistant to doctor, or doctor to assistant, all those are touch points. Then when they come back up to the front, and then when the patient leaves, like what happens in all these spaces, because those are processes that you could start to work out of. And then that ties into, okay, well, when they come into the practice, what do we do? Write down every piece that we do. And who's responsible for all of these? Once you get that framework and skeleton broken out for you, you really can then start to see all the different processes and start to unwind that ball of yarn, like you were saying, and start to get really streamlined strings. And it might just be you're getting these streamlined strings of yarn. You might not know who's responsible for them. That's okay. We can color coordinate those afterwards and divide them up into tasks, but at least we know what tasks need to be divided, so the patient and the process doesn't get dropped within our experience.
Yeah. And where we are right now is I'm trying to take my extremely tenured team. We have one lady who's been here for 25 years, one lady who's like 15 or 16 years, and then I've got two newbies on the team, and we're adding a third. And what I'm trying to do is help build and establish new habits while not losing the experience of the team. And that's made me grow as a leader. As I'm learning, you know, okay, what have we tried before? So, you know, we have the history of great experience, and then, okay, we're going to take that and apply it in this way, in this space, to create this experience. And getting people to think like that is a change. It's totally different. It's outside of, I think, my team's comfort zone. But we are building those new habits, and we're starting to see some progress, just even in, you know, we split out a couple roles. We put all of our phones ringing in our, I call it my command center, but it's literally a back office for the admin team. And we've started to unweave some of this ball of yarn. I like that analogy. We keep coming back to it. And just doing those like quick basic things and thinking about the patient experience and the employee experience, that's changed the game in just a month since we've been up here.
Okay, so this is good. This is like, so you guys have a picture. This is where they were. She came in. There were all these people. They moved to the space. Everybody's kind of tangled up in this nice ball of yarn. How do we start to unravel? We've given you some ideas of how to start unraveling. So I think a tactical piece that we'll dive into, and then we'll wrap up this episode, and then Ashley and I will pick up another episode because I want you guys to go through the process on this. So process with this one is, what is your front office? Like, we're going to just hone in on the front office right now. We'll work on back office eventually, but right now let's just focus in on the front office. So it's where, I'm not going to say do you have, because the reality is you're going to say no, but I think every single company, every single office has a ball of yarn somewhere within your front office team. Where is that in your practice? What is jumbled? What is messy? You might be like Ashley at the very beginning, where it's totally all tangled. Nobody knows what they're doing. They're playing whack-a-mole. Maybe you already have job descriptions. Things are divided out. Maybe you've thought through the processes. Where are you in this journey? Paint yourself in here right now, figure it out, and then let's give some action items. So Ashley, when you're here, before you move on to like dividing it out, because I want to dive into that on the next one with a tenured team, how we do that. For right now on this episode, people have heard where you are. What do they do at this point? How did you start to unwind that ball of yarn really succinctly and make it more smooth? What would you say would be some action items they can take right now to make this an easier process from what you did?
Yeah. So where I started is I met with each team member individually, and I was like, all right, tell me everything you do in a day. Like, let's get it all on paper. They're actually right now doing their time journals. So for 3 days, they're writing down every single thing they do throughout the day.
We can give a shout out to Mark Costas on that one. Nice, brilliant idea there, Mark. Good job.
Yeah. Awesome. You know, I got that after the business mastery course and implemented it. But what I did before that, and I didn't even know I was doing something good, but I met with everybody, and I just was like, walk me through your day. What tasks do you like to do? What do you not like to do? What do you do? And I kind of just interviewed each person and started to get, okay, so I have one lady who's, doing patient AR and, everything that goes along with that. And I've got a couple people working recalls. Well, okay, that, and then you start to see every single task laid out and you're like, all right, where's the overlap? And you can kind of start to build out, a map, basically it's a map of all the tasks that have to be completed and who's working on them.
Okay.
And that's where I would start.
So baseline it out. Let's write down everything we know. Just get a starting point today. I think so often we get caught up of where we want to be. That's great. I think you should have the vision, but let's just start today. A lot of offices, get all tangled up in, well, where do we even start? Just start here. What are you guys currently doing? Who's doing what? And let's start to divide out, because as soon as you have that written down, it's very easy to start to see patterns, starts to see things that maybe aren't that, oh gosh, we have 3 people doing insurance verification. We could totally break that down and make that easier. This is the very first thing I do when I walk into an office. Before I show up, people write down exactly what they're doing. They answer an assessment for me, and I walk in and I watch to see who's doing what. And usually it's, well, we all do it. Beautiful. Who's the strongest one doing this? We're going to assign you insurance verification. We're going to assign you, you're our check-in, you're our check-out. And it's not per person, it's per seat, a position. Because I think when you can build it on the seat, not the person, you are then able to plug and play based on whomever can come in and fit, and they know exactly what they're doing. So I also want you guys to think, and Ashley, I know you're doing this as well, think of these positions as position, not of people. And I know that sounds a little harsh, and I'm not trying to be harsh or trite. What I am trying to do is help you see, how can I make this a position that's a system, not based on a person? And then we get that person who has the greatest strengths to fill that role, but it's a very interchangeable, so nothing ever gets dropped because it's not person dependent, it's a systems dependent process.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that's where we are.
Okay. All right, guys. So there is phase 1 of Ashley Keith's journey. I want you guys to write it in. We're going to catch you guys on the next episode of hers where we really start to develop, okay, what do we do once we have all these pieces dialed in, and what has Ashley done? Because this is where Ashley and I actually are coaching together. I haven't gone into their office, so it's really fun to build this, to streamline all this before I even get in there. So it's a real good case study that you guys get to be a part of. So Ash, thanks for joining me on this podcast, and Dental A Team listeners, thank you as well. And we'll catch you guys next time on the Dental A Team podcast. That wraps it up for another episode of the Dental A Team podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.